If you're just joining us, you're coming into the National Alliance for Musical Theater as we get started on Songwriting 201, the music. You can check out more about this at namp.org/challenge. This is the second as a part of this series. The first was Songwriting 101, which was words and lyrics, and you can catch more of that at namp.org/challenge. You can catch that full video there. So this is an opportunity today for us to take a look at the application for the Musical Theater Songwriting Challenge for high school students. And then we also have a special guest today who's going to give us some tips and tricks and a workshop on music and composing. And that's Anna K. Jacobs, and she's with us today too. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll go ahead and move to the next slide then. So again, this is for the Musical Theater Songwriting Challenge for high school students. We are the National Alliance for Musical Theater. My name is Frankie Daly. I am the New Works Director here at NAMP. This is an initiative of the National Endowment for the Arts. We are super excited to be joining the team and launching this for the first year at NAMP. And this is in collaboration with Concord Theatricals and Disney Theatrical Productions, and we're super excited to have them on board with us as well. We've got some contact information here on the screen as well. You're welcome to reach out to us at any time if you've got questions about anything that you find out as we go forward. Let's keep going. Great, so let's talk about a little bit of what we're hoping to do today. So first, we want to talk about how we're going to start this process. This is all about getting started. We want to write this song and submit this song to this challenge, to this opportunity. From there, we're going to give you an opportunity to get expert input from our panel. So every submission that submits to draft one to this program is going to get feedback, and that's important for you to know. You'll have the opportunity from there to take that feedback and you can incorporate it into the next draft of your song. And from there, you can submit a second draft of that song back to the challenge. And that's in pursuit of a winner's weekend in New York City, where you can see that song performed live on stage by Broadway talent. So it's a real special thing. Let's keep going. We can talk a little bit about what the timeline is for this now. So we are currently, we've got submissions open right now. You can find out more about that at namp.org/challenge. Those draft one submissions, they're due on December 4th, and that's coming up real soon. I think it's actually just 31 days away from today. So you can make sure you go ahead and check that out and get your submission in by then. From there, we'll have feedback back to draft one submissions just after the new year. So that'll happen in January. And then you'll have the opportunity to put that feedback back into the next draft of your song. And so the draft two submission period will open at the beginning of February, and that'll last until March 4th. From there, we'll evaluate everything, we'll listen to everything, we'll read all of your lyrics, and we'll determine the winners. And there'll be multiple winners for this. And we'll bring them to New York, and we'll have that Winners Weekend event at the end of June in 2024. So that's the end of the school year in 2024. So let's talk more about that Winners Weekend. So first, like I said, in a true NAMP tradition, there'll be multiple winners. We're not looking for just one song, we're looking for quite a few. From there, we've got two forms of mentorship, both creative development and professional development. So the first is that professional development where you'll team up with writers and artists who are working in the field, who are creating new work and writing new musicals. And you'll get to talk to them about what it's like to do that and to be a working artist in musical theater. From there, we'll also team you up with an orchestrator or music director that's going to help you fully realize the musical landscape of your song. So if you want strings, we'll help bring strings into them. If you want piano, we can help bring that in, and we'll create and orchestrate that full song in pursuit of that on-stage debut. And so that's the concert. And so that'll be in a venue in New York City with Broadway talent, with a live audience, and we'll stream it, and your friends at home will get to see that too. And then beyond that, we'll have other opportunities to fully immerse into Broadway. You'll meet people on stage, backstage, off stage, and you'll get to see a show and talk to some of our members as well. It's important to note also that there's going to be learning opportunities throughout the submission process too. We'll have a whole spring semester of additional curriculum to release after the new year as well, that'll all contribute to and support that draft 2 revision process. On the screen now are some next steps for you to get started. You can go to arts.gov/songwriting. That's got some program history for you. If you're interested in maybe listening to some songs that were submitted in the past, you can check that out at arts.gov/songwriting. At nant.org/challenge, you'll find everything you need to know about submitting to this program. That includes dates, that's all of the important submission information, the program guidelines, and everything we're going to talk about today, really. Reminder that submissions are due on December 4th, and we've got some contact information on the screen. Again, if you've got any questions, you can feel free just to shoot us an email. And then if you're looking for tech support while you're filling out your application, you can head on over to nant.org/submission help and open a ticket there if you've got any tech snafus that you need help with. Let's keep going. Great, so there are some things that you should take a look at before we get started. The first is that you're going to add notifications at submittable.com to your email contacts. All of the communication about your application is going to roll through that email. And so it's important for you to be able to receive email from that address. You'll want to create an account at nant.org/submittable. We use Submittable for all of our submissions programs. And so you'll want to become familiar and have an account there. And then you want to check out the full guidelines for the program, and that's at nant.org/challenge/submit. And everything we talked about today, plus some more information, is going to be on there too. And then finally, both the student and the parent or guardian needs to complete the consent form, and that's also available on nant.org/challenge. You can download that form, and then both parent or guardian and student have to sign that form, and then you'll upload that completed form to your application when you're filling it out. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. Great. So let's go ahead and dive right into the application. So first steps 1 through 4, very basic information that we've got here, but we'll go through it very quickly. So here you'll have your song name, the song credits, and it's important for us to know who wrote the music and who wrote the lyrics. And that means that you can write the song by yourself and you can do everything on your own, or you could write it with a friend and collaborate with them, and someone could write music and someone could write lyrics, or you could both write both. We want to have your name, we want to have your address, your email address and your phone, and then your grade in school. And it's important to note also that if you're homeschooled or if you've completed traditional high school in 3 years and you're doing a homeschool lab on your 4th year, you're also eligible for this program. So it's important to note. And then we've got a few survey questions here at the end too. How did you hear about the Songwriting Challenge? And then some demographic questions about you that are also optional. Let's keep going. And so step 5 now, because we've run right through 1 and 4, step 5 is if there is another writer that contributes to this song. So if you remember back when we were talking about who wrote music and lyrics, if you have 2 writers there, so this is where you will select yes. And if you do select yes, then everything you put in the previous information for writer 1, you're just going to put that information in again for writer 2. So that's name, school, grade, all of that good stuff. If you've written this song by yourself, here you'll select no, and you'll just continue right on through. For step 6, we have a few specific questions, and these are pretty important questions to make sure that we get right. So let's look at them pretty closely. First, is your submission an original song or poem that you have written by yourself or co-written with another high school student? We want your answer to be yes here. So if it's not yes, make sure you email us and check it out. Let us know what specifically you're looking at so that we can make sure that you're eligible. The second question here is, has this song ever been professionally produced or distributed? Here we want your answer to be no. If your answer is yes, check with us. You might still be eligible, but you might not, and we just want to make sure. And then finally, we need to make sure that you can come to New York in June if you do win. So the question is, if you become a finalist, are you and your writing partner, if applicable, available to travel with a chaperone to the event in June 2024? And so we want your answer to be yes here. And if your answer is no, let us know why not. It might not rule you out, but you may not be eligible. Great, let's keep going. Great, so we got step 7. This is a little bit of information about your song. So you can write this information ahead of time, and you can save it in a Word doc, or you can save it in a note app in your phone. And when you're ready, that you can copy paste that over and place it right into this box. Remember that this isn't an essay contest. So we want your responses to be thoughtful, but they don't have to be perfect. They just need to be honest and right for you. There's some important information that we're looking at in this section, though. We want to know who the character is that's singing this song. We want to know who the character's singing to. We want to know the time and place of the story, and really what inspired the song for you. And it's important to note, too, that you could have more than one character. And if you do, we want to talk about that, what the lyrics should look like a little bit later, too. We can keep going. Great. So this is our certification and consent form. So here we've got a certification section where we just want you to select yes. That basically says that you intend to participate in this and that everything that you're submitting is true and that you own it. And then you can upload your participant consent form that your parent and you have signed and downloaded earlier. You can find that form again at namp.org/challenge. We'll move into step 9 now. These are where we start to upload parts of our song. So the first is the audio file of the song. This is just an MP3 or a voice note off of your phone. But there's a few important key pieces of this that we need to make sure we have. And it's super easy. The first is we just need to make sure it sounds clear. So make sure you have a quiet background with a controlled environment. We need it to sound simple. We don't want tons of instruments. We don't want lots of background noise or anything kind of crazy going on. We just want it to be simple and clear. And then we want you to really sell it. Make sure that you feel good about it and that you're getting the style and mood across. What else do we have here? Yes, the lyrics. Additionally, you want to copy and paste your lyrics into the section as well. Written section here. And now we're looking for a video file or PDF that introduces the writers. And so we've got some information on the screen here, and there's more information in your application. But again, we've got some quick tips for you. First, this is a short and quick video. We're looking for 2 minutes of a video or just a 1-page essay. Again, we want it to be clear and simple. We want to make sure you have a quiet and controlled environment and a quiet background. And then we really want to focus on you at the end of the day. This is about finding about your passions and what sort of makes you tick as an artist. So feel free to share with us what you find interesting, what songs you like, what musicals you like, and so on and so forth. And then finally here, we also have an opportunity for you to upload the score or sheet music to your song. And you don't have to do that. And some of you might not know what that means, and that's okay. But if you do have it, it might answer some questions for us ahead of time before we have to reach out to you if we did have questions about your song, and you could upload that here if you'd like. Otherwise, if we have questions, we'll just reach out to you, no problem. Let's keep going. Great. We are almost there. So this is our final check. So here we've got the Privacy Act statement and the paperwork reduction statement. There's no action item here, but if you have any questions when you read over this, you should just let us know. Mostly you'll want an adult to take a look at this and just give you the thumbs up. At this point, you're going to go back and check your application real quick. If there's red text at anywhere, there are errors in it, and you'll want to correct those spots. You'll want to check your files that you've uploaded. Make sure that you've uploaded the correct files, the ones that you intended to upload. If you spot an error anywhere, if we spot an error anywhere, we'll reach out to you. We'll let you know. We'll do a quick check on every application to make sure that it looks good to us before it goes on to be reviewed by the others. And then it's also free to submit. It's important to know that there's no charge to submit to this program. And then when you're ready to go, you can hit that submit button and it should pop up with this page. And so that means you've successfully completed your application and sent it in, and we've received it. At that point, you want to make sure, again, that notifications@submittable.com is in your email contacts. And at that point, the next step would be to receive feedback. Again, feedback will come shortly after the new year. And then you want to keep an eye out for more emails from NAMPT. We'll have more events coming up. There'll be opportunities to workshop your song with others and get to hear more about what other folks have submitted too. So keep an eye out for that information as well. Great. So we're almost done. I just want to remind you about this information here. So arts.gov/songwriting, you can find out more about the songs that have participated in this in the past. NAMP.org/challenge, that's everything for the future. So if you're looking to participate now or ahead of now, you want to look there. Submissions are due again on December 4th. And then we've got some contact information on the screen for you. And again, if you're looking for tech help, that's there at the bottom, that namp.org/submission help link. Super excited to introduce to you composer, lyricist, educator, and book writer, Anna K. Jacobs, who's a festival alum for the Festival of New Musicals at NAMP from 2019. So Anna, take it away. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for that intro, Frankie. And hello, everybody. I'm really excited to be able to talk to you about music and about composing the music for your songs today. I actually came to being a musical theater creator by starting as a musician and discovering how much I loved writing for characters and writing for story. And I also just really enjoy talking about the creative process. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about what are the main questions that I go through when I am crafting a musical theater song. And those three main questions are actually right up there on the screen. The first one is, what do I want my song to sound like? And the second is, where do I start with creating the music? And the third question is, how do I capture my musical ideas as I go? So throughout the next chunk of time that I'm with you, I'm going to be unpacking these questions with you. We're going to jump over to the next slide and talk a little bit more about what do I want my song to sound like. So when I am starting a new show, or even if I'm starting a new song and I don't have the whole show right there, but I'm starting to imagine what I want the style and sound of my song to be. Something that I love to do first before I begin the writing process is to immerse myself in what I call musical research. What I mean by that is I think about what I want my song to sound like, and then I compile these playlists of various songs that speak to what I want my music or my score to sound like. And I use an app like Spotify or Apple Music or SoundCloud or even YouTube to collect these songs. And I listen to them on the subway, and I listen to them when I'm running around Prospect Park in Brooklyn. But I get my head inside of the way that I want my song or my show to sound. And when I'm doing that, I'm listening for some specific things. The first thing that I am listening for and thinking about when I'm creating these inspiration playlists is energy. So what kind of energy do I want for my song? And when I'm thinking about the energy of the song, I'm specifically thinking about, is the speed or tempo of the song fast or slow? Is it a smooth or a bumpy type of melody or accompaniment? And dynamically, like in terms of volume, is it loud or soft? These are the things that I think are essential to the energy or the quality of a song. So take, for example, I want to write a song for the character of Pele, the Hawaiian goddess of fire and volcanoes and wind. And perhaps Pele is furious. I'm making up this hypothetical story scenario. I'm going to show you an example of a song that I might listen to in order to get a better idea of how it evokes energy through these three elements of fast or slow, smooth or bumpy, and loud or soft. And actually, if you're listening live right now, you could even drop into the chat what you notice about these things. Is it fast or slow, smooth or bumpy, loud or soft? So we're going to have a quick lesson, a listen. We're going to have a quick listen and then talk about it. Okay, that's good. So what I'm noticing personally is that the song is fast, that even though there's like a smooth vocal line, underneath it, there is a lot of short, sharp articulation. So it's pretty bumpy. And it's not that loud, actually. There's sort of a sense of simmering. So those are some things that would probably inspire me energy wise. Another thing that I listen for when I'm making my inspiration playlists is style, the style of a song. Um, so often when we are writing a musical, we're thinking about what is the setting, is it what time period is it set in, or what is the physical environment like, um, or perhaps it's even a genre musical, like a sci-fi musical or a horror musical. And so collecting songs that are in a particular style can often be really helpful in thinking about how the music can support the style of the overall show. So when I'm listening to songs that speak to style, what I'm listening for is what the beat is like, what the chords or the harmonies of the song are like, and what the instrumentation is like. And so I'm going to give you an example of a song I might listen to if I was wanting to write a really earnest love song for a character living in the Midwest of the United States in 1984. Here we go. Let's have a little listen. I am a man who will fight for your honor. I'll be the hero you're dreaming of. Okay, you get the idea. So things that I would be noticing about that is that there's a very regular beat, and there's a drum kit that's reinforcing that beat. The chords are very major. They don't change very often. They're very simple. And I might also be noticing the fact that there's a synthesizer, there's an electric guitar, but the arrangement is pretty simple. So if I was sitting down to make some accompaniment, I might not attempt to write the most intricate piano arrangement or intricate guitar arrangement, even if that's something I'm capable of, because that wouldn't speak to the specific style. The last thing that I listen for when I'm creating my inspiration playlists in order to research different types of music is arrangement. So arrangement speaks to the structure of a song and how the pieces are put together. So, and different genres of songs are arranged in different ways. For example, a blues song is going to be arranged very differently to, say, a disco song, is going to be arranged very differently to, say, a traditional Tin Alley Broadway song. So if I were making a musical that was set in maybe the 1970s and I wanted to write a song for a disco diva, I might listen to the following song, and what I'd be listening for is what are the different events in the song and when do they occur and what's the main thing happening in each event and what instruments are leading each event. So let's have a listen to this example that I pulled.
Your weather girl. And have we got news for you?
You better listen.
Get ready, all your lonely girls, and leave those umbrellas at home.
All right.
It's rising.
Rising.
I'm just getting low.
How low, girl?
According to all
Okay, we can stop.
Now.
But what I'd be noticing about the arrangement in that song is that it starts off with this big instrumental introduction. And something that I really notice about it is there's these big chords on the piano and they're ascending, creating tension. And then there's a section where the singer is speaking over the music and then the singing begins. But it's not just the soloist it's also the backing singers, and they're all singing really low. So I'd be noticing things like that when I'm thinking about the arrangement of my song. Okay, so we're going to move on from what do I want my song to sound like? Just so you now have a clear picture of the energy of the song and the style of the song and how you sort of want to arrange your song. The next thing you're going to want to think about is, how do I start my song? And the good news is there are multiple ways that you can start composing a song. The first way I'm going to share with you is you can start with the lyrics and then add the music, and specifically the melody. So everybody knows, I think, the nursery rhyme, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are." If I had written those words as lyrics and I was starting to think about the melody, what I might do as a starting point is I'd say the words to myself: "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are." And I would notice what syllables I'm emphasizing, so that when I come up with my melody, I'm emphasizing those same syllables. I wouldn't want a melody that would emphasize "twinkle, twinkle." That wouldn't feel natural. And then when the song's performed, it would be hard for the audience to understand what the character singing the song is saying. We don't want that. The other thing I'd be listening for is where my voice is going up and where my voice is going down. "Twinkle, twinkle, little star," like I kind of ascend there. "How I wonder what you are," I kind of naturally descend there. So that might also give me some clues for how I want to shape my melody. And I'm also noticing where I'm pausing and taking breaths. I do that after star and R. So that also gives me some hints to what the rhythm would be. So if we go to the next slide, I'm going to show you that when I was setting this to a melody, I came up with something a little different based on what my speaking voice was doing. "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are." Now we're going to go to the next slide, and we're going to talk about another approach you can take to composing the music for your song, which is you might come up with the melody first instead of the lyrics. And often when I am approaching a song this way, I already have a pretty clear sense of not only how I want my song to sound, but what I want the song to be saying, the general idea of the song, the general message of the song, or what's going on in the story in that moment. It's really hard for me to come up with music for a musical theater song without knowing the details of the story for the moment. So here's the melody of "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star." And if I'm adding the lyrics, I'm noticing what notes are emphasized, and I'm trying to come up with lyrics that have syllables that get emphasized in the same spots. I'm also doing the same thing of like noticing where there are natural moments of pause, remembering that that could be a phrase, like a lyrical phrase. So if we pop over to the next side, you'll see I came up with this: "Spooky little dinosaur eating lettuce off the floor." That is my greatest work to date, everybody. Another thing that you can think of when you are composing your song, and we're going to flip to the next slide, is how you can bounce back and forth between composing your music first or writing your lyrics first. So for example, you might write a couple of lines of lyric, or even a section, like a stanza of lyric, and you might set that to music, and then you might go ahead and you might write the music for the next set of lines or the next section of the song, and then add the lyrics to that. So it can be a really fluid approach. And I would also say that the more flexible you can be with your process based on where your inspiration is coming from, the better. So another thing you can do is you can either start with the melody and add the accompaniment, or you can start with the accompaniment and add the melody. So here is an example where I had the melody in place, and information that I was getting from this melody was that it was this is the traditional melody that most people know, is that it was very major, that there was a gentleness to it. This is the one that people sing as lullabies. And I came up with this melody to support it. We're going to jump to the next slide and have a little listen. And if you don't know, this particular arrangement of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star is Mozart's arrangement, and the original piano part is very similar to this one. But if we jump ahead to the next slide, you'll see that sometimes, particularly if you're an instrumentalist, like say you're a piano player, or you are a guitarist, or you play other harmonic instruments, sometimes you might actually come up with an accompanimental figure that inspires you. We're going to play this one for you so you can hear. So just say I came up with that accompanimental figure, and I got really excited about it. I could then add the melody over the top of it, and you're going to hear how that sounds in the next slide. Which sounds absolutely nothing like the other arrangement that I shared with you. And so that's the other thing about being flexible with where you start with making the music for your song, whether it's lyrics, with music, with accompaniment, with melody, is that choosing a different starting points can elicit different types of results. So have fun with your process and be as free as you feel comfortable doing. We're going to jump ahead to the third and final big question that I ask myself when I am composing musical theater songs, which is, how am I going to capture this? Not only how am I going to capture this so I don't forget it, but also how am I going to capture this so that ultimately I have something to share with other people, whether that's with the performers who are going to be performing the songs, or even just with an audience or with listeners. So I'm going to walk you through my own personal process of how I capture my songs and how I develop them. But I'm going to share that with you with the caveat of also saying, when you are working on your songs for the songwriting challenge, you definitely don't need to go through all of these steps. In fact, you could stop at any one of these steps and you would still have enough material to get the idea of your song across to the people who are going to be listening to it. So the first thing that I do, I know a lot of people these days have smartphones with some kind of voice recording app. I know on the iPhone, which is the type of phone I have, it's the voice memo app. And when I am starting to get the idea of a melody for a song or a little accompanimental pattern for a song, the first thing I do is I make a super duper rough recording so I don't forget it. And if you are writing a song and you don't feel very confident with playing an instrument or coming up with accompaniment, the one thing you're probably going to be able to do, at least, is record yourself singing the tune. And so all you really need to be able to do that is some kind of recording app. So I'm going to play you. I'm a little embarrassed to share this, but I'm going to share it because it honestly shows you what my process is. I'm going to show you a little recording that I dug up from my iPhone. I was working on a song called Letting You Go from a new musical that I'm working on. And I was making dinner in my kitchen, and I suddenly had this idea for how I wanted the melody to sound. But because I was making dinner at the same time, I couldn't sit down and play the piano. So I was just kind of with my left hand playing some bass notes on the piano. And you can also hear my 4-year-old in the background begging for, I think, his Batman toy. So we're going to play you a little clip so you can hear what that sounds like.
There's a world where you're my Barbara. There's
That's cool. So as you can see here, like I don't really know the little details of the melody, but I'm trying to grab the raw idea so that I don't forget it and then I can develop it in a more detailed way, which brings us to the next thing I'm going to share with you, which is once I have recorded my rough ideas or recorded just the tune, I'm ready to record a version that includes some more detailed accompaniment. My primary instrument is piano, so usually it's me on the piano and singing, but this could also be you playing a rhythmic instrument like the drums. It could be on guitar, it could be on ukulele, it could be you recording your voice and creating multiple tracks so that it's just lots of voices and harmony. There are lots of ways to do this. This is how it sounded for the song that I showed you the sketch for a moment ago, Letting You Go. Let's have a listen.
There's a world where you're my Barbara. There's a world where you're my wife. And we live in this house on Kent Street and enjoy a simple life. And we see our friends on weekends.
Okay, you probably get the idea. So once I have recorded my sketch of my song, oh, yes, if I were applying to the songwriting challenge, I would have felt pretty good about submitting that voice memo you just listened to. So I could have stopped there, but if you want to go further, you can. So here's where I go next. Once I have sort of formed a more detailed idea of my melody and my accompaniment, and I have it down in my voice memo, then I usually notate the chords that I am coming up with on the instrument that I'm accompanying myself with. So this is, I dug this up from my files. This is a lyric sheet for a song called 2012 Anymore from the same show. And you can see that I haven't totally settled on the lyrics at this moment in time. There's a lot of crossed out stuff and rewritten stuff, but also down the side of the page, you'll see chords, B minor, G major 7, and lower down on the page, G, D, A, E. That's me tracking the harmonic progressions of the song. And if we go to the next slide, I go one step further in my process after that, which is that I actually take some staff paper and I notate the melody and I put the chords over the top. If you were to see something like this with the lyrics underneath, you would call that a lead sheet. Then I go one step further than this. We're going to go to the next slide. So if any of you have familiarity with music publishing software, some very popular ones are MuseScore, Noteflight, Finale, Sibelius, Dorico. These are music programs that enable you to digitally notate your music. And in musical theater, in the professional world, we always generally do this, whether it's the composer or somebody transcribing the music for the composer, because it makes it so much easier for the performers to be able to read or even sight read your music. Obviously, everybody has very different handwritten notation. So these days, it doesn't really cut it. So this is an example of another song from this same show called This World. And this is me having notated the music in Finale. And as you can see, I've gotten even more detailed with my arrangement. And still just piano, but when I go to write it down, I have to be very particular about my choices. And so you also have the option of doing this. The other great thing about music publishing software is that you can play the music back. These programs have like a playback feature. And so when you want to share your music with people, you can do so not only visually, but orally as well. I'm going to take you to one final slide in 1 second, but I'm going to tell you what it is first before I play it to you. So the final step in my process, and many times I don't go all the way to this final step, but occasionally I do, is to record the song, not in my voice memo app, but in a music program like GarageBand or Logic, or Cubase. So these programs are called DAWs, digital audio workstations, and what they allow you to do is not just record your audio, your live voice or your live instruments to a more refined degree, but they also make it possible for you to orchestrate using digital instruments, sounds that are stored in your computer. So I am going to play for you this same song that you're looking at right now, but I'm going to play it for you as it appears in the program that I use to produce it, which is called Logic. Logic is like the big sibling to GarageBand, just so you know, because I know a lot of people have GarageBand. Let's have a listen and a look.
These woods by the lake, the morning sunlight caresses me. Cedars and hemlocks and elms all undulate with electricity. Crickets and porcupines and salamanders occupy my mind. And the longer that I stay, the more I feel inclined to shed my stockings, shed my dress, and leave them both behind. 'Cause I'm meant for this world. I'm meant to be free. I'm meant for this world. And this world is meant for me.
So just so you know, this track had no live instruments whatsoever. What you're hearing is what's called a MIDI piano, so an electronic piano, electronic muted electric guitar, strings, and drums. These all came out of my program's instrument library. A lot of students I have worked with in the past who are not so familiar with GarageBand or Logic or Audacity find it easier to navigate GarageBand on an iPad or on an iPhone because those apps, the instruments kind of, you don't need to play them out on a keyboard. You can push some buttons and choose different chords and they sort of play automatically. And so if you have access to an iPad or an iPhone, you might also, if not for this challenge, then just for fun, want to play around a little bit with the GarageBand app in order to arrange your song. But like I said, for the songwriting challenge, it's enough to just be able to sing and play your song into some kind of recording device. And then if you also want to notate it or arrange it, that's a bonus. And the more specific you get, or the farther along you get in the process, I think the more specifically it's possible for you to communicate your ideas about the things that we were talking about at the beginning of this webinar, like energy and style and arrangement. The one thing you really want to remember when you're writing a musical theater song is that you are writing for characters. Even if you're, say, a pop or rock singer or folk singer-songwriter, and you really have your own style of music, and your mission is to put that style of music into a story, you still want to sort of understand how it's speaking to the setting, how it's speaking to the time period, how it's speaking to the characters, how it's speaking to the conflicts in the show. one thing I like to think about when I'm composing for shows is if there was no set and there were no costumes and no lighting design, could the music that I'm composing fill in the gaps for those elements so that all you would need is some actors, maybe some costumes, and the music to really get a sense of where we are. And I think that if that's possible, then your music is not just enjoyable music, it's inherently dramatic music, which for me as a theater composer is always my goal. Um, so in closing, be inspired, make those playlists if you have the time, find your way in, be flexible with yourself in how you want to start your process, or experiment with different ways of starting your song or developing your song, bouncing between music, lyrics, accompaniment, melody. And and capture your ideas so you don't forget them, but also so you have something concrete that you can submit for the competition. And most importantly, have fun. Writing musicals, it's a little bit like playing dress up. You get to be in your own world and fantasize, and it's a really enjoyable thing. And I want it to be fun for all of you too. That's it.
Amazing. Amazing, Anna. Thank you so much. We're so
My
happy to have
pleasure.
you
I
join
hope
us
you
today.
couldn't hear my cat outside crying the whole time.
Aw.
She wanted to be part of the webinar.
Well, hopefully she'll submit to the challenge too. We had a great time with you today. If you have any questions for us, you can head on over to namp.org/challenge. You can find our emails elsewhere in this presentation as well. We are happy to spend more time with you and have a one-on-one and talk more about your application as you're getting ready to submit. Those applications are due on December 4th, so check that out soon. That's namp.org/challenge. So again, my name's Frankie Daly. We're going to go ahead and sign off for today. Thank you, Anna K. Jacobs, for joining us, and we'll
Pleasure.
see
Thanks for
all of
having
you
me.
next time. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.